So Megaminx X4 is by far the worst PLL, and there's no real debate around it. For example, Sean Moran, UK Champs 2024, he got to PLL at 23 on his last solve, I think, and it was a 32. Could have been a 25, would have been his PR single, or I think at the time even NR. To this day, his PR is still a low 27, I believe. X4's ruined souls, but that's with the traditional recognition system. You can turn it into a far, far better case if you want to by learning how to solve it based on what pieces are solved from every AUF. So the way that you would recognize that your case might be an X4 is that when you look at the top layer once you get to PLL, there are no blocks, no pseudo blocks, and no headlights. A pseudo block is, by the way, if these two were to match. So if both these were blue, because it's like similar to a block, but you don't actually have this face solved. By the way, I wouldn't recommend like learning X4 if you don't know any PLL, or if you're not planning on learning PLL. This is just like for people who might be interested, or for people who actually, already know X4 and want to make it not horrendous. So traditional recognition tells you that the way you recognize X4 is once you know that it's either an X4 or an X7, which are the ones with no blocks, no headlights, no pseudo blocks, is you figure out which face do all three of these match on. No, and then yes. Pink matches on all three of these faces. The issue with this though is it can take a really long time because you'll need to be looking for multiple faces at the same time. It's really awkward, which is why Sean Moran had like the 9-second PLL on his PLL at 23 from UK Champs. Also, another issue with it is X7s, which are the other ones where you have no pseudo blocks, no headlights, is that these look similar, and also you have these matching like you had this matching on X4. The only difference here is that for X7, you just have the same thing matching on every face, and you never have like all three matching. And so differentiating between those could also take a while. And so instead of traditional recognition, you can just base your recognition on like what pieces are solved. And so here, so there are 3 types for X4 and then 2 types for X7. So I'll just go through those. So for this X4, you base it on when you see 2 edges are solved. These are always going to be beside each other. You look for the edge that, like, it's not going to be the inner edge. So you look out of these 2 edges, so the edges beside the ones that are solved, which one isn't adjacent to where it needs to go. That sounds complicated, but it's far simpler than it seems. So you see here, green is right beside its face. Pink is all the way over here. So you just put this edge on front, and then you do your X4 out. So really, if you recognize that there are 2 edges solved, it's just which edge is furthest away from being solved, I guess. And something to note is, I'll just set that up again. This color always goes on back, or the back left, just to help you with predicting AUF for X4. All right, now this next one, when you have 2 corners solved, they will never be adjacent corners. So there will always be a corner in between them, and also 2 edges in between them. So the way that you recognize it when you have 2 corners solved is the edge that you're going to be putting on front is always one of the 2 edges in between them. And so from there, you can either do which of these edges is adjacent to where it needs to be. So you see here, the green needs to go right beside the green, because green matches green, I guess. I don't really know what to say. Or you can just check for which of these 2 match. And obviously blue and orange don't match, so it's these. So this is like recognizing that it's between the 2 of these is more similar to the traditional recognition system. But I'd say recognizing which one's adjacent to where it needs to be is like a bit faster. So you just put that on front and you solve your X4. And then for the last one, you recognize just that you have 1 edge and 1 corner solved. You just put the edge on front and then you do your X4. And then that's it. And now for the X7s, the way that you recognize these is very similar, but just to differentiate it from X4. So here, when you have an edge and a corner solved, but the edge isn't opposite. So if this was X4, these 2 would be solved. But since it's X7, these 2 are solved. When the corner is on the right of the edge, so you can see here, no matter what AUF you're in, the corner will be on the right of the edge. Like if you're viewing it from that angle, so like obviously here, like corner's on the right of the edge. Then you just do one of the X7s, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's plus or minus. Like if you know the algs, you'll clearly be able to tell what I'm doing, And then for the other one, if the corner is on the left, you just do the other X7.